but metaphysics in the original sense, the science of ultimate reality, of what in Islam is called ma'rifa or irfan, or in Hinduism, jnana. And it has to do actually with intelligence in its medieval Latin sense, not the modern sense of intelligence. That is an innate faculty in human beings which is able to know the truth. Now, human beings are made in such a way that not everyone has every aspect of his intelligence or other faculties developed in the same way. I may be able to speak French, you may be able to speak Dutch, somebody else may be very good at horseback riding. The different human gifts that people have. And some people are gifted for metaphysics in such a way that their intelligence, once it confronts this kind of knowledge, it understands it and it accepts it. And if everyone were like that, there would be no agnostics, because this knowledge, once you have the proper intelligence with based on the principle of adequatio in medieval Latin, the adequation of the knowing substance, knowing instrument to that which is known, instrument of knowledge, of course, that we're known, is there. Once one has that, then one is able to assert the truth with certainty of the divine reality. Now, we have that case, just let me, I don't want to drag this on too long, but we have that case very much in other sciences. Here, you and I are sitting together. We have studied for years in our own subject. I happen to have studied mathematics for several years at MIT, but forget about that. Both of us may be very good in, let's say, the humanities, but we may not be good in astronomy. And in other professions, in the modern world, it's very interesting. People accept the authority of fields of which they know nothing, and they're not competent in knowing that field. You and I trust what some physicists say about quantum mechanics without having studied quantum mechanics for many years. But once it comes to the science of God, the supreme science, the queen of all sciences, according to the medieval classification of sciences, that everybody claims that either everybody must know this or it's false. If this claim were made for other sciences, there would be no science in the modern world. Here in the city of Washington, where I live, there are no more than 500 people who understand the laws of quantum mechanics. And the major change that comes about, like has been coming about in the last couple of decades, it's not known by people walking on M Street, but nevertheless they accept it because they accept that authority. Whereas what has been lost in the modern world, that authority has been lost. In Islamic civilization, as in Hindu civilization, as in classical Chinese civilization, as in pre-modern Western civilization, that authority was accepted by the rest of society for those who had that kind of knowledge. In India, not everyone is a Janani, not everyone knows supreme knowledge. But Hinduism is still to its traditional part that survives to this day, is such that the rest of society has confidence in what they say, in the same way that you and I have confidence in what some chemist says about the medicine that we go to a drugstore and buy and put it to our mouth. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. Otherwise, you would not do it. That's what I had in mind. Now, to the second part of the question, as far as Islamic philosophy is concerned, we have two major expressions of metaphysics, science of the real, in Islamic intellectual universe. One is an Islamic philosophy, which deals with on a more rational basis in the case of early Islamic philosophy, of the school of Avicenna and the like, and then with the school of illumination of Sohrawardi and later on Mullah Sadr and others, it becomes much more metaphysically inclined and weds, in a sense, a ratiocination and intellection and illumination together as means of attaining philosophical knowledge. Then you have the Sufi tradition within Islam, in which the centrality of this issue is always present. The highest form of Sufism, as expounded by great masters such as Ibn Arabi, or in poetry by Jalaluddin Rumi and Shabastari and others. These masters deal with metaphysics at the highest level, even beyond rational discourse, and even criticize rational philosophers, not for what they say, but what they do not say, and therefore negate. And therefore, they, in a sense, transcend their perspective, and they are very, very clear that metaphysics is evidence in the nature of reality. Let me end this first question that you've asked me with this remarkable poem by one of my favorite poets of the Persian language, the great metaphysician, and Sufi, Sheikh Mahmud Shabastari. And I will quote one verse of Persian poetry for you. It says, Basi nadan ke o khurshid taban be nur sham joyad dar biyaban. There's many a fool who is seeking the luminous sun in the desert while holding a candle in his hand, which is one of the most blatant attacks against rationalism, you might say. So you have both of these expressions in the Islamic world, but all together in Islamic civilization. Although there happens opposition by some schools of law, by some schools of theology, and so forth, but the mainstream Islamic intellectual universe has preserved metaphysics on the highest level. And today in the world, it's really the two civilizations of Hinduism and Islam, in which metaphysical knowledge, as transmitted traditionally, is still so easily available. Now, it's not totally absent. In Eastern Christianity, in parts of Taoism, which have survived the communist regime in China and areas around China and so forth. I've met some people, some Taoist masters. But by and large, the two great traditions globally, in which this science and metaphysics of which you first speak are preserved, are the Islamic and the Hindu.